Hello viewers, welcome to the UN College Digital Classes. I am Amita Patra, Head of the Department, Master of Commerce, Finance and Control. We people are discussing the paper Financial Market and Instruments, and in that we are discussing a very important and vital topic of financial system, that is the commercial banks. And in commercial bank we have already discussed that what is commercial bank, what are the classification of the commercial banks, or we can say that how the commercial banks has been categorized, and we have discussed all the categories of the commercial banks, and also we know that what are its significance and importance, and we had already vividly discussed on the types of those commercial banks. So today we are going to learn that what are the significant reforms or significant changes that are there recently in these commercial banks. So as the other sectors or as the other services sectors or the financial components or the financial constituents of the financial system, the financial intermediaries or specifically the commercial banks are also under various stress time to time, and in 2015 there is an approach to tackle with the stressed situation of the commercial banks. In 2015 there is a 4R strategy that has been put forward, or you can say that there is a 4R approach that the government has taken to tackle with the stressed banking scenario of the period, and that 4 R's we can say as the recognition, reconstruction, the reform and the resolution. So these are the 4 parameters that the government has put forward so that it can revive the banking sector or bring the banking sector in its proper form. So in that basically what is there, if in a nutshell we will talk of that, in that what is there, that the huge amount of NPAs, that are the non-performing assets, are there, or the defaults credits are there. The government has taken various steps to recognize those non-performing assets and make them recapitalized, so that recapitalization of that, and also various reforms and resolutions has been taken by the government in these new reforms. Recently in 2019 the government has noticed that a reform is required, and the banking sector need to undergo various reforms so that the banking sector will be vibrant and will do good and well. So in today's class we will be looking into that what are the important reforms of the year 2019. So let's start. The major reforms in the banking sector in the year 2019. So first one is the 10 public sector banks merged into 4. Then loan rates came down as Reserve Bank of India reduced lending rates. Then Aadhaar and PAN card authorization is mandatory to fill ITR, that is income tax return. Then banking became easier with digital options, and revised ATM mechanisms for safe and secure transactions. So there are 5 major strategies that the government has taken, the 5 major strategies to reform the banking sector in the year 2019, and if we will put it in the 5 points, that are the merger of 10 different public sector banks into 4. There is a revised mechanism of ATM machines, there is a reform in the loan rates, there is digitalization of banking, and the loan rate has been reformed. These 5 parameters make the banking sector more vibrant and operating. So let's discuss these 5 parameters one by one. So first is 10 public sector banks merged into 4. So, in the bid of strengthening the role of the public sector banks in the economy, the government of India rolled out the third round of bank merger plan in September. So, in the month of September 2019, the government has rolled out that the merging of different public sector banks, and the ministry decided to merge 10 public sector banks into a total of 4. So, 10 public sector banks are going to be merged according to this strategy into 4 banks. So, as per the merger, selected acquirer banks were to take over the allotted banks. So, you must be knowing about the mergers and acquisitions. So, in this particular strategy, the government tried to merge 10 different public sector banks into 4 banks. In that, the selected banks are there who are going to merge the other banks into them, and accordingly the allotment has been done. In that, what has happened, that the Punjab National Bank was decided to merge with Oriental Bank of Commerce and the United Bank of India. So, now what is the scenario, that previously when we are talking of the nationalized bank, we come across that Oriental Bank of Commerce and United Bank of India. So, now they will not exist, and these 2 banks will merge with Punjab National Banks. So, all the operations of the Oriental Bank of Commerce and United Bank of India is now with the heading of the Punjab National Bank. He is the one who is going to be the merger of these 2 nationalized banks. Then Indian Bank will be with Allahabad Bank, then Canara Bank with Syndicate Bank, and Union Bank of India with Andhra Bank and Corporation Bank. So, by merging the public sector banks, the government aimed to reduce the number of public sector banks, which can help fulfill the vision of creating 3 to 4 global sized banks. So, what is the main aim, or we can say that what is the aim of government behind merging this bank, is to reduce the numbers and to focus on the work of them, and to have 3 to 4 global sized banks. So, that is the aim behind the merger of these public sector banks. And further, the merger could indeed help raise a large capital base for the economy, as banks would be able to allow more loans with merged capitals. So, what could be the other aspect of merging is that definitely when 2 or 3 banks are going to merge together, the capital base will be definitely larger. So, when the capital base will be larger, so the merged capital base is going to allow to create more capital, or we can say that it will be able to it will be able to generate more funds, or it will be able to give more loans, we can say. So, by that it will have more return, and we can say that it will going to boost the economy. So, that is the aim behind the merger of these nationalized banks. And also, this could make it easier for the authorities to monitor a limited number of banks, and the merger comes into effect latest by April 2020. So, by April 2020, all the allocations that are been directed came into force, and by that the authority is now having lesser number of bank to monitor also, which will make the authorization easier. Next, we will go to loan rates came down as Reserve Bank of India reduced lending rates. So, the Reserve Bank of India reduced the lending rates, and by that the loan rates come down. So, this is another reform in 2019, and the Reserve Bank of India is the central bank, and thus being the regulatory authority of all banks, Reserve Bank of India took the required steps by changing and revising its charges from time to time throughout the year. And in the year 2019, the Reserve Bank of India cut its lending rates 6 times in a row by splashing down repo rate. Repo rate is what? The rate at which the Reserve Bank of India lends funds to the banks. So, by 135 basis points, bringing it to 5.15% is the repo rate. And reverse repo rate, the reverse repo rate is at which the central bank borrows money from the commercial bank, and that come down to 4.90%. So, this is what is the reform in the loan rates of the Reserve Bank of India. So, that is we know that previously when we are talking of or when we are discussing the Reserve Bank of India, we know that Reserve Bank of India is a bankers bank and it is lending money to the commercial banks. And now we are clear that the Reserve Bank of India is giving credit to the schedule banks. So, when it is giving loans to the schedule banks, it is giving it in a bank rate, as we have discussed when we are discussing the credit control function of the Reserve Bank of India. If you remember, then we are talking of the bank rate. So, bank rate is the rate at which Reserve Bank of India is going to give loans to the commercial bank, the interest rate, that is the bank rate. So, now we are talking of the repo rate. Repo rate is also the lending rate of Reserve Bank of India at which it is giving loans to the commercial banks. And what the difference between bank rate and repo rate is that the bank rate is the rate of interest that is for long term lending, but the repo rate is for the rate of interest for short term lending. So, the repo rate has been decreased to 5.15%, and there is consequently 6 times the rates has been cut down. That is the reform that is there in 2019. So, both repo rate and reverse repo rate are essential tools, as we have said, and used by Reserve Bank of India to regulate the liquidity and credit availability in the market. A lower repo rate by Reserve Bank of India is an attempt to spur credit growth in the economy. So, that is the reason behind this cutting down of repo rate and reverse repo rate. So, as we have already discussed in our credit control function of Reserve Bank of India. So, by cutting down the repo rate and reverse repo rate, the Reserve Bank of India is pushing money, or it is giving liquid cash into the market. Further, to provide more in the economy, in September 2019, Reserve Bank of India made it compulsory for banks to link the floating interest rate on loans to Reserve Bank of India's repo rate or to the other external benchmarks set by Reserve Bank of India by October 1st. And the interest rates on loans were earlier affected by the MCLR. However, the repo linked interest rates as an effective benchmark is a great move to benefit the customers and to encourage more liquidity in the market, as it will bring in more transparency. So, this is a very essential and a very bold step of the government, which is being taken forward to bring more liquidity into the market and to make the economy more functioning or vibrant, we can say. Next is Aadhaar and PAN card authentication mandatory to fill ITR, that is income tax return. So, while filling the income tax return, the Aadhaar and PAN card had become mandatory, and the authorities introduced the Aadhaar amendment bill in 2019 in June, and the bill allows the Aadhaar card to be used as a valid ID proof for opening a bank account. And after this recognition, Aadhaar became a compulsory tool in any financial activity, such as to deposit large cashes and all. And later, Aadhaar linked KYC, that know your customer, became a compulsion for existing and new account holders in banks. However, this was ruled out by the Supreme Court's judgment in September 2019, which indeed made Aadhaar a necessary document to fill ITR by emphasizing on PAN cards linked to Aadhaar as the only valid PAN cards. So, this is what is the Aadhaar and PAN card authentication is, and with the effect from 1st April 2020, any PAN card not linked to Aadhaar will be considered invalid, and people will not be able to file their income tax returns. And the deadline for this has been extended from December 31st, 2019 to March 31st, 2020. So, it has become mandatory, or there is a reform in the banking norms in 2019 that the Aadhaar is compulsorily to be linked with the PAN cards, and if the PAN card is not linked with Aadhaar, then it will be invalid, and without a PAN card you cannot file your returns. So, Aadhaar had become an necessary tool, and it is to be linked with the PAN card, and for the opening of any bank accounts or any financial activities or depositing of any large amount also, the Aadhaar has become very mandatory tool. Next is banking became easier with digital options. So digitalization of bank, or we can say that the electronic platform for the bank is a very essential and major reform that has put forward in the year 2019, and everything has become digitalized, and moreover we are saying that it is a cashless transactions or cashless financial market is come into force. Everything has been done without paying the hard cash. We are doing everything digitalized, or everything is been done with a digital platform. That is a reform. Digitalization is the talk of the hour of today, and especially when it comes to factors like upgrading and ease. And the Indian banking sector experienced a great uproar in the digital services in the year 2019. So many banks, including the popular ones like the State Bank of India, Kotak Mahindra, Axis Bank, plan to go on board with digital services by incorporating artificial intelligence and analytics in their banking mechanism. And a major of banks have started offering almost all of their offline services on online platforms, such as the public sector banks online platform launched in August 2019, and there is Axis Bank's Express FD platform launched in October 2019 to open an FD account online. Indeed, even public sector lenders like Indian Post went all digital in the year by providing a mobile facility for PPFs and saving accounts. So every financial transactions now getting digitalized. So digital moves by the banks to shift towards the cashless economy have uplifted the financial sector well by providing access to easier payments, and e-commerce, mobile commerce and online payments have been successful. And the upliftment of UPI, that is Unified Payments Interfaces, in the year 2019 is evident in the ease, convenience that digital payments provide users with. UPI transactions crossed around 1 billion transactions in the month of October 2019. And also the point of sale terminals rose to 3.99 billion in the June 2019 by 20.5% than the previous June. Thus, the year 2019 contributed well to make the Indian economy digitalized and cashless. So, in the year 2019, there is a great revolution, we can say, in the banking sector, and that revolution is of digitalization or a cashless transaction system has been enforced in the banking sector. There are various forms. This digitalization has been done. Every payment, or we can say, as we have said, that the UPI codes has been generated, and there is drastic and tremendous use of those UPI codes. Each and every transactions are nowadays been done with the digitalization. There is high demand of e-commerce and a great use of mobile banking and all. So all these things have bring a digital revolution in the banking sector. So next is a revised ATM mechanism for safe and secure transactions. So as we know that in previous few years there is the automated teller machine is in high use. In 2019 there is revised and updated mechanism for this for the safe and secure transaction of through this ATM. And the year 2009 begin with the reform in ATM transactions. So in the very month of January 2019 only, there is reform in ATM transactions, and with effect from 1st January 2019, ATM cards without chips were unacceptable, and the chip based magnetic striped card was brought to effect, and this changed the way the ATM cards were operated. So earlier the card needed to be swiped once for verification. However, now the card remains inserted in the ATM machine until the transaction completed. Beginning of the year 2019 only, in the very 1st January of 2019, there is a rectification or there is enforcement of the new ATM mechanism, that is the unchipped ATM cards are not been accepted, and the ATM cards with striped chips are only accepted in the ATM machines. And in that, what is happening that previously, if you will notice that we are just swiping the ATM card in the ATM machines only once for verification. But from now onwards, what is happening that we need to insert the ATM card in the machine throughout our transaction. So that is the reform that is there in the ATM mechanism. And this move was initiated to make ATM transactions more secure and safe. So this step was been taken to make the ATM transaction more secure and safe. And in addition to that, various banks like SBI, SDFC, Axis and ICICI revised the number of free transactions to 5 each month that can be availed with an ATM card after RBI posted a notification in June 2019 to do the same. And charges on exceeding the number of free transactions were increased than the earlier ones and were inclusive of GST. As per the August notification by Reserve Bank of India, banks were instructed to treat failed transactions, that is the failed transactions due to technical reasons or unavailability of the fund in the ATM, not as a part of the available 5 free transactions. So there is so in the reform, not only in the way of operating, but also the time of operations are also were enforced, like various banks have put forward in the guideline of Reserve Bank of India that there should be use of the free transaction of ATM card for 5 times each month. But in August 2019, the Reserve Bank of India again gave another notification that the failure transactions, that because of any technical errors or non-availability of cash in the machine, if such transactions happen, so these transactions are excluded from this 5 number of free transactions. So if these things is happening, then it will not be counted as a number of transactions. So accordingly, the reforms are also made in the time of free transactions or time of use of the ATM cards in the machines. And thus, in total, various ATM changes were incorporated in the year 2019. So these are the basic reforms that the banking sector come across in the year 2019, and there are variant reforms in various sensitive areas of banking, which supposed to make the banking, or we can say that bring the banking sector of India into a next level, and it brings, we can say, a revolution in the banking sector by the reforms that are put forward in the year 2019, that brings a big revolution in the banking sector of India. So the merger of a large number of banks into few numbers, and by digitalization, by bringing reforms in the ATM mechanisms, by cutting down the rates of loan, and other various aspects has bring the banking sector into a more liquid, more easy to assess and a very easy to operated sector, which will definitely looking forward for bringing more vibrant and more fault free access to the banking sector. So, this is what the reforms of the banking sector in 2019 was. Hope you people have understood and enjoyed. Thank you.